Once we implemented the profit first methodology in our business, I can say hands down, it changed our operations. It changed it for the better. My name is Annie. I am one of the founders here at BatchService, and kind of where we got here and how we got here today. Just a quick background on me. My background was in construction, then it transitioned into real estate investing, and now we created BatchService for a solution for what helped us grow our operations. And today I wanted to welcome in a friend of mine, a founder of SimpleCFO Solutions and author of Profit First Real Estate Investing. David is an experienced real estate investor who has closed somewhere around 850 plus deals. Correct me if I'm wrong, David, with multiple strategies. It was in 2019 when I met David at a mastermind in Vegas. He was actually sharing some of the struggles that he had in his business and how he overcame them. At the time, I think he was doing 5 deals and scaling to 25 deals a month. Little did he know we were actually facing the same challenges that he was. We had 6 acquisition guys, a dispo, a handful of cold callers and assistants, and we were running a profitable operations from what I thought. But we really didn't have a hold of our financials at all. And it wasn't until that mastermind in 2019 when David shared his methods of making things just simpler, right? And understanding where money is going and where it's flowing from and where it's going to. Once we implemented the profit first methodology in our business, I can say hands down, it changed our operations. It changed it for the better. I wish when I started the operations, I knew what David kind of preaches, right? The profit first mentality, because it would have saved us thousands of dollars just on costly mistakes that we've made along the way. David, I know he's achieved lots. He went ahead and he wrote a book. And one of the things that he's also done is help a lot of real estate investors just gain financial clarity along the way, giving them freedom to focus more so on the business and keeping more of that hard-earned profits. And pretty much that's why we're here today. And I'm lucky to be a friend and to be in his circle of friends. And I want him to just share with the audience as well of how he has helped his business and how he's helped thousands of investors manage their financials for a long-term success.
Yeah, so appreciate that, Annie. I've been in the real estate space since 2012 and was part of that company where in 2014 to about 2017, 18, we had scaled it up to about 25 deals a month and was doing wholesale turnkeys, fix and flips, everything. But we were spending 26 worth of deals out the door. So that sucks. It's like, why are we doing this? Like, why are we scaling this up? Why are we doing more? Why are we hiring more people and pouring more into marketing? Like, we have nothing to show for it. And that was just a big wake up call because I sat in a lot of different seats there. I was in sales, marketing, acquisition, like transaction coordination. And, the last seat I sat in was the finance seat in my stint there of that company. And I got to read like a profit and loss, a balance sheet, get to really learn how to read the numbers of a business. And to me, that was really interesting. I mean, look at me. I look like that would be interesting to me. And that's where I'm like, I really did. I like that stuff to be able to read the story of the business. And once I figured out what we were doing, I'm like, we're spending more than we make. I don't think this works in any situation here. Like, what are we doing? That's before I'd even heard of Profit First. And it's unfortunate that no one really teaches us the basics of something that we do every day, which is move money and have cash and like make sales. What do I do with that money though from here? So that way I don't just keep growing the big business that ultimately fails. Like, how do I grow a business that's healthy and what do I do with the cash? This is why I want to start Simple CFO. Like, I want to give people just a fighting chance that if you're going to make money, like, how do you start this process? All wealth is built on systems, but we didn't even have a system with having all those deals. We didn't have a system for our cash. So that's where now being able to really implement Profit First and get someone on small business teams to help them and be coordinating the financial department for them so they know, like, I have clear numbers, I have clear cash, like, and that cash flow. So there's just a long answer to how do we see people getting, help from the financial side. It's not a bookkeeper, it's not a CPA, it's someone that's coming in and helping from a higher level to know where the money's going.
What is a common financial challenge that you see in real estate that people face in their business when they're either starting or when they're trying to scale?
So when they're starting, it's what do I do with my first check? Like, what do I pour my money back into? Should I pour it all back into marketing, or like when can I start taking money out? I would say that's probably the number one thing I hear when people are first starting and they're doing their first deals. That's why I'm like, I love pointing them to profit first. Like, if you just started a business, you don't need a fractional CFO like the service that we offer. You just need to read profit first and implement. Like, can you at least do that? Because that'll give you a good first starting point. Another big one I see as people start to scale is that if they don't have a system like that's helping them with their cash, like profit first or a cash flow type system, helping them build cash reserves and be profitable on the way up. Like when you're small, then you just grow bad habits as you get bigger. That's what we were doing. The habits we had at 1 deal a month in that company, then 5 deals a month, grew into 25 deals a month, but they were bad money habits. So
Mhm.
that's another big thing we see too, is that since we're not taught and we don't have someone in our corner telling us how to do this and like what is the next step, how do we make sure that we're on the right path?
I want to kind of just dive, I guess, into like if someone's wanting to set up the profit first methodology, what are some of the first steps that you'd want and you'd think that they need to implement? Some of the most crucial steps.
The first thing I would say is even before you start setting up the actual system, learn what you need. Like dig into and ask yourself, what do I need from my business? How much on a monthly basis do I need to take and put in my pocket to support me, my family? And then like ask yourself, why did I start this dang thing? Why did I start real estate investing? Why do I want to break away from my job or whatever? And then it's like, what's that number on a monthly basis? What's that want you need? I tell people to start there because I want you to have a goal that's yours, that you're working towards, and not someone else's goal that they're telling you what you should do. It's like, what is my goal for me? Because it's you, your family, your situation that's different than every other real estate investor out there. Second thing is set up the system to start getting what you need. Like now we're going to set up the system. So what is the system of profit first? You just set up different bank accounts and you literally name them. You name these bank accounts for what you need from the business, and then you start filling up the accounts from all your sales. I'll give you the 5 core accounts. The first 3 I call the golden trio of accounts because these are like the 3 main heroes of your business to help you keep more of the money you make: profit, owner's compensation, and owner's tax. Like 3 physical business checking accounts that you open up at your bank for your business. That profit is like, what do I want from the business? Like, why did I start it? The owner's comp is to pay yourself on a regular basis. And then owner's tax, a peace of mind account, making sure when you pay your taxes, like that you have an account there and it's like, oh shoot, I'm doing flips or I'm doing wholesales, I'm doing a lot of active stuff, so I'm going to have to pay taxes, and you might have never paid taxes before in the past if you were W-2. It's like, shoot, now I got to pay these. That's why from every deal, portion off a little bit to go towards the tax bucket so you don't have to worry about taxes at tax time. But those 3 accounts help you get started to keep more. Because what a business owner really needs is the 2 skills of money: making it, which is usually the sexy part, like you were talking about, Annie. Like that's where Batch comes into play and why I like Batch, because like they can help you make the money. There is no money to manage if you don't have lead generation, like if you aren't out there and getting the deals in the door. Then the other 2, I would split out your OPEX account, your operational expenses, into income and OPEX. So you have income where all the money comes in, you transfer it. The first transfers, from a sale would go into the keep accounts, like those golden trio, and then the rest would go into OPEX to run the business. So set up those accounts first to give yourself a fighting chance. If you can set up all 5, great. If not, set up the profit account from here.
Trying to step back a little bit, we talked about what and how businesses leak money, which is huge, right? At least for us, we were spending money where money didn't need to be spent. Yet we didn't really realize it until it was too late. How does profit first and how do you guys just help businesses just address that issue? Because even to this day, it is very difficult for us to just manage where everyone is spending all the money and just removing all of the unnecessary cash leakage in the business.
If you have these bank accounts set up, the income shows you what you're making, the OPEX shows you where you're spending it, and then the golden trio helps you know what you're keeping. So make, spend, and keep. So if you have this OPEX account now, you can start to split out different percentages, and even inside of there, if you want to know, especially marketing and payroll, those are the two biggest ones that we usually see as the expenses going out the door. Marketing you need in order to get deals in the door. So it's like, are we on track with our marketing, what we're spending versus what the return is? And then payroll, are we not going above 35% of our revenue? Those are just some quick things that you're able to look at.
So I want to ask you, end of the year is coming up, right? We all know we have to close out our financials. We need to close out 2024 and start a new year altogether, right? This is where we see people just kind of struggling and hustling and bustling January through April of doing pretty much getting tax prepared. What are some of the questions that people on this call can ask their CPAs or bookkeepers to see, are they actually on the right path? What numbers should they be actually paying attention to? Because you said when in the beginning you mentioned, oh well, the accountant said you're profitable, your net income is $100,000, and you look at your bank account and you're only at 5K. You're like, well, where's the difference? How is that possible? How am I making 100K yet I only have 5,000 to play with? So what are some of the questions that they can ask? And then what are some of the numbers, the most important numbers that an investor needs to be paying attention day in and day out, and just to have a more successful business?
I always believe the three most important numbers for the entrepreneur to know is what you're making, spending, and keeping in cash. What's coming in, what's going out, what do I get to put in my pocket? Like, that's also what most owners care about the most, is like, what is tangible to me? So that's where it needs to start. And that's what I would start looking at now, to be like, okay, where do I stand financially? Because cash is a fact. Like that, it doesn't matter a lot of the times what it says over here on the reports if your cash is good and in order and like you're growing, because they play off of each other. So if your cash is good, then usually your profit and loss balance sheet, cash flow statement are good as well too. So that's where I would start. But as far as like end of the year, what do I ask my bookkeeper? What should I be looking for? Number one, I would ask your bookkeeper, show me my cash flow statement and show me how to read this, because the profit and loss will show you if you're healthy. Like, show me my net profit. Most people know it's income, expenses, like what's my net profitability. But then also on the cash flow statement, it shows you over the year, where did I start my cash balances and where have I ended? And is that a net positive or a net negative? And they can take you on a month by month journey of where all your cash went, if they'll actually do that. A lot of books for CPAs won't do that. They're there just to say, here's your reports, good day, good day, sir. And then your CPA is there for like the tax side. The other thing too, to ask your bookkeeper, and I would ask them right now, is like, do you understand real estate investing bookkeeping? That's the number one thing we see when we start to work with people, is that if they are in the real estate space and don't have a real estate investing bookkeeper, there's a high probability that things are wrong on the back end. And it doesn't matter if they look at their profit and loss, it's going to be wrong. And it's not up to date. Another question, a specific question they can ask them, the bookkeeper, to see if they're BSing them or not, is what month are my books reconciled? Like, up to what month have you closed them out? And like everything is in there and categorized. If you ask them that question and they're balking at you, or they say, June, it's like, okay, time to look for someone new. They should have an answer ready for you, and very quickly. That would be one big one. On the tax side, it's like making sure that you ask your CPA, is there anything else I can do before the end of the year to lower my tax liability that's also reasonable and feasible? The other key piece that you might want to ask, especially over these months, is I need to get my bookkeeper and CPA on a call together, so the books and everything are exactly how the CPA needs to see them, so I don't hand them to them and then it's the back and forth, and then it's too busy, and then it's like, oh shoot, we got to extend, and then we've extended forward. It's like, that's a nightmare, and then you don't get your numbers, so that sucks. So it's like, these are some of the things like to ask at the end of the year.
Actually, let me ask you one more thing, because you mentioned how it is tax season and how people can lower their overall tax liability. What are some other expenses that someone can just make at the end of the year to lower their tax liability to help them out?
So I would say those are the two biggest ones I see, is like, are there big purchases that you can make now that you have planned on making? If there's services you pay for monthly, but you want to pay annually in the last year of the month, that's another way sometimes, which isn't always the best. Like, that one's like a gray area inside of the tax code. So like, I'm not your CPA, so run that by your CPA first before you do it and see which side of the fence they're on. Cause like, we run on a monthly, basis with some of our people. And it's like, sometimes they just like saying, hey, run it in December for the whole year. So that way we don't have, so that way it's like we get the extra expense at the end. There's some of the other ones that I would say off the top of my head, because obviously you could do the car thing if it makes sense for you. You can
Yep.
do the house thing if it makes sense for you. But then also it's like, what services are we already using, or what products are we already using? Do they offer an annual option? December's a great time to start stacking that stuff if you're already going to pay for it. And a lot of companies give you months of discounts usually if you pay for a whole year in advance. So you're like, you're being able to expense more, but you're also being able to save more money as well too. So see if what you're already paying for as an annual option that will help you save money too.
Well, I want to say thank you, David. Thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing all the knowledge with the audience and providing the free resources. I don't know if you have any last thoughts or anything you wanted to say to kind of wrap things up.
Go out and do something. I've now been doing this for over 4 years where I'm actually teaching. And literally, I was just at an event last week. A guy came up to me and said, I literally went to like a short little recording like this,
Mhm.
implement the profit first system. And he said, that was a full year ago. He came up to me at that event last week and said, I have 6 months of reserves now. He's like, I've never had that much in the bank. And he's like, I have never felt peace in my business like I do right now. I almost broke down. I'm like, this is why. At least he listened. So from here, can you set up one bank account? Like, can you do like the bare minimum to give yourself a fighting chance to have the reserves you want in your business and build good money habits as an entrepreneur? So that's what I wanted to leave you with.
Awesome. Thank you, David. Thanks for everyone for attending.
Yep. Thanks. Have a good day.